Hi everybody, I'm Christina with Hitched in GJ, and today we're going to be making a birdcage veil. Some people call it a Russian veil, some call it a French net veil. It's really just that kind of 40s style vintage veil that you've seen, and I'm just going to be showing you how to make that yourself. It's going to be, we're going to do it in 6 steps. So it'll be easy to follow, and the materials that you're going to need are really going to be probably stuff you already have laying around your house or things you can buy for under $5. So I know that I looked on Etsy, and this style of veil runs between $40 and $60 on Etsy. I don't really know how much they run in the bridal shops here locally, but I know that you can make these for super cheap. But if you're the type of person, you know, that you don't really want to do it yourself, I know that they are available on Etsy and, you know, eBay, whatever. So these are the materials you're going to need. You'll need a hair comb. You can use a wire metal comb, or, you know, you can get cheaper, like clear plastic. I like to use the metal combs because they just seem classier, I guess. You'll need white thread or invisible thread, a needle. I would recommend a thimble because I stabbed myself repeatedly while making this veil. While I was trying to weave the needle in and out of the diamonds, I stabbed myself a lot. So you'll also need a measuring tape. I got this cute little pink one at Hobby Lobby. Scissors. A strip of just regular bridal like illusion veil tulle. I'll show you what that's for later. And then you'll need this French netting, or some people call it Russian netting, or a lot of times it's used for millinery. I think it's called like hat making veil material netting. So you'll need, and for this, I would get a little bit extra just in case you make a mistake or whatever, but you're supposed to, the way you're supposed to measure it is you take it and you wrap it around your head, and you need it to meet in the back, and I gave myself some extra couple inches at the back so that it's not, this is the exact size that I used to make this one. So that's what it'll look like, that piece of veil. But I did mine as roughly 25 inches is how long this piece of netting is. And I got this at Joann's Fabric, and they sell this, and they also sell black. So this is just white. If you want different colors, which I've ordered different colors before, you can go on Etsy and find like hot pink, turquoise, navy, like any color you can think of. You can get that on Etsy.com. Some extra tools that'll make your life easier is a rotary cutter, and I just love this thing. It's super sharp though. Our camera. Super sharp. Our cameraman cut his finger quite deeply the other day with this thing. It's not a pizza cutter. So if you're gonna use your rotary cutter, I'd recommend you use a cutting board, or like I used just a clipboard that I had laying around to cut your veiling on, because if not, you'll cut up whatever service you're working with. So cutting board's probably your best bet. Although this is kind of nice because you can clip your material on there and then cut it. So we're going to be doing this step by step. There's 6 steps. The first step is to gather your supplies. The second step is to measure your head, which you can use your tape measure, or like me, you like wrap your face up and smother yourself. Yeah. The second step is going to be to cut your netting. So you lay your netting out flat, and you're going to want to measure. Now, like I said, this is the 9-inch. If you want the 9-inch is going to give you a half face coverage for your veil. So this is the 9-inch. If you want one that covers your entire face, you're going to need to order 18-inch. And you can't get those at Joann or High Fashion. So we're going with a 9-inch because that's what I had. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure up 5 inches from the bottom of your veiling, so about right there. And I honestly just kind of eyeball it and I just make a cut like this. Just like that.
At an angle.
So then what I do is I fold my veiling over. Actually, you can fold your veiling over and just cut them both at once if you want. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to sew this part anyways. You're going to be stitching it all and it's all going to be balled into a little crunchy ball anyways. So it doesn't matter if it's pretty or even or perfect in any way. This is the part that's going to be showing and that's going to be on your face. So this part doesn't matter. So there you have like kind of a little, you know, edge right around here. And this is where we're going to stitch this edge all along here. Okay, and then so down. You want to get a length of thread, and I tied a knot in this one, so we're going to go ahead and just First, I apologize for the condition of my fingernails. This is inexcusable. Next time, I'll do better. Okay, so what you want to do to start your thread, and I just start on one end of the veiling, is you want to go actually through these little things here. I was literally like poking little tiny holes through here, but I realized if I just do this to get it started, then I'll be okay. Like if you just get it started that way, and then you continue on by just weaving it in and out of the larger holes like this, just like that.
You only do a couple of them through the little eyelets.
Yep, so you only make your first couple of stitches through those little tiny things just so your thread has something to hold on to. So if you can see there, it started to like gather. So that'll hold it. That's what's going to hold it. So we'll continue to weave in and out through these little diamond-shaped things all the way around. Stitch all the way around the veiling, and we get to this end, we stop. So this part we're not gathering. We'll get it to the end, and then I'll show you how to just pull it, and then we'll do a stay stitch it. And so we are now on step 4, which is stitch and gather. So I've already stitched all the way around the 3 outside edges. Here's my little needle at the end. Here's my little gnarly, huge knot I made to keep it on this end. And remember, we went through a couple of these little dots to hold the stitch. Okay, yep. So now once we've gathered, we're just gonna be really gentle with it and pull it all to the end. So just be super gentle when you're doing this part, because you can really tear this material really easily. So when we gather it, we don't want to, and this is one of the things I had to figure out on my own that none of the other tutorials teach you, is that you don't want to actually like squeeze it all the way to the end into like a little ball like that. That's not what you want to do. You want to keep it somewhat loose so that it fits your comb. So your comb is how wide you want to knot the end of it. This is step 5, which is to prep your comb. And in a lot of the tutorials, they'll tell you to use about 20 to 25 inches of a strip of tulle. But I use about 28 inches because I like to have, and I'll show you why. So how we start, so we'll take our 28-inch piece of tulle, and what you do is you just pinch the end of it and you hold it across the top of your comb like this. So you'll just put it right across the top. So I have my tulle placed across the top, and I've wound it around this corner edge. And then what I do is I just take the tulle and I wind it in between each tooth 2 to 3 times, depending on how thick your piece of tulle is. And then I go to the next one. And you just do this for the whole comb. And what you're doing is you're just giving a base so that you can sew your piece of netting to your comb. So I'll just keep doing that. So once you've wound your tulle around the end of your comb and you're at your last little tooth there of your comb, this is what I usually do, is I just tie this to that little piece that you had sticking off the end there. I just tie it. And a lot of people will sew the end, but I just find that this works just fine for me. So I just tie like a double knot in the end of that tulle. And then I cut it and I take my lighter and I just run it across, just like not very much, but it just kind of burns the end a little bit. And so we're going to be attaching, secure. This is step 6. This is us attaching our comb to our veiling material. So I've left, and that's why I get a very long piece of thread when I do my gather stitch on here, because I just leave the rest of that and just use the remaining thread to stitch it onto my comb. So I just start on one end, and like I told you in the beginning, when you're doing your gathering stitch, run it through these little squares here to keep it attached. And then what you're going to want to do is, I think what they call it is a whip stitch, and that's where you just run it through here and you wrap it around. So you run it through your veiling material and then you do a loop and you pull it tight, and it pulls it tight to the comb. So I've just done my little loopy stitch and trimmed off the edges, and then once you've actually stitched it, you might have some stuff that's kind of sticking up down here, and you can just go ahead and like trim that, or like I like to do, because I'm a pyromaniac apparently, is just burn it with your lighter a little bit. And you don't want to like catch it on fire, so just trim it and then kind of burn it a little bit. Just really be careful with that though, because you don't want to have to call the fire department. Okay, so now I'll just show you real quick how you put it on. And this is supposed to kind of be worn in the front of your head. So you just kind of stick it in like so, and then it's going to look really funny, like just sticking off your head. So the trick is to actually pin it with bobby pins. So you just take a couple bobby pins and you put like one over here on this side and one on this side, and then that'll give you the look that you want. And you can kind of play with it and make it, you know, if you like it a little poofier, or if you want to be kind of sassy and wear it on the side, you know, and just have it kind of over one eye or whatever. That's kind of up to you, but I would recommend pinning it down. Otherwise, you're going to have it sticking off your head, and just, there's our birdcage veil. So I want to hear from you guys and see if you have any problems or questions. Leave us a comment. And like I always would like you to do is go to our website, hitchedingj.com, and you'll find all kinds of tips. There's articles written by local vendors, and of course listings for local vendors, so you can find, if you're not the type of person to make something like this yourself, I would recommend checking out our local bridal boutiques like Victoria Rose Bridal, Abra Bridal, David's Bridal. They all have some neat, or of course, bridal veils like one of my favorites is Etsy.com. You can also, if you're not into making this kind of thing, you can purchase those online. So, thank you.